LB, Lyndon Byers, Jay Miller, the Killer. We're here at Jay Miller's restaurant, the Courtyard, down the Cape. Guys, thanks for being here.
Oh,
man,
my pleasure.
It's tough, man. Tell me, being a tough guy, former Bruins tough guys. I mean, who was the toughest guy you ever had to face? The guy you didn't want to fight, or the guy that you always look forward to fighting.
You know what? Whoever made me bleed. Everybody always says that. Who's the toughest guy? I'm like, whoever killed me.
I thought LB was, but I'd have to say, what's that? What was that other guy that Canadian kid thought he was Canadian, but he was from South Boston. What's his name?
He had a couple of good years there. One year he got 20 goals and he thought he was a sniper. It was Guy Lafleur and I.
No, Nyland. That was his...
Yeah, that Chris...
Are you too small about me again?
Oh, as usual, jumping me from behind.
It's very hard to jump you from behind when you're not on the ice. When were you on the ice?
Hey, whatever. You and Bob Gainey. Oh, my God.
All right, tough guys. Chris Nyland is here. Knuckles has returned. We'll be right back with more of the game and more of the tough guys after this. And my good friend Jim Dunn. Jim, do you have a question for these tough guys?
Kidding me, man? This is like Christmas for me. This is awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching this. Well, we got a few different fight tapes running here, but it's not a fight show. That's right.
Not a fight show.
Yeah. But let me ask you guys this. First of all, this is your place, Jay. Thank you so much for having us here.
Thank you.
And this just boggles my mind that you can sit across the table from Chris like this. After, I mean, with the emotion that we see on the ice, you guys wanted to kill each other, and now, you know, you break bread.
It was funny, because a couple of years ago, Chris would be going up to this, we were at Hyannisport with a friend of ours, and he kind of told us about an hour before, I got a surprise to play golf there. I think we've never talked to each other, never even blinked each other, let's go, or nice fight, or that's about it, or you're a jerk. But really, we met on a golf course. One of our lawyers met and said, let's play golf.
You guys got lawyers.
He was actually our good friend, and we decided to go out and play golf. And we really met at we went to a place afterwards, had a couple of beers, and I had never met him. And, you know, we were talking about who was beating who up. We really can't talk about it because we never talked to each other about it. Now you're talking about all these Boston fans in a bar, and you want to turn around and ask who was the toughest. They're going to say me, but if we were in Montreal, it would be the opposite. So we happened to be on the Cape in a bar, and it was pretty fun. I went out on that bet that I was the toughest, so.
Yeah.
Just because it was Boston bar. That was
there you go.
I just happen to think that all the guys that fought back then, and even today, if you can find one, all the guys are pretty tough. You know, any guy I ever fought, I considered tough, you know, except for maybe Paul Boutillier or a guy here and there. You know, there's not many guys I didn't fight that weren't tough.
If you would have hit that kid, if you probably don't remember the fight, it was unbelievable. Paul Boutillier was looking the other way, and Knox came over the top. If you would have hit him, you'd have knocked him into the middle of the neck.
Jay was on Chelios, and I had to get to him. I told Boutillier to let me go. He wouldn't. I said, let me go.
But I wanted Knox. He wanted me. And we were two guys that don't even want to be there.
Boutillier and Chelios should have been together.
And I had a goal and assist that game. I was a sniper.
You guys have an Enforcers Hall of Fame. You just talked about these guys here. This could be three members of the Hall of Fame. Do you have guys you respected a lot in terms of enforcers, or respected the least?
You know what? I have one guy, Wayne Van Dorp. That's the only guy that I truly dislike, that if he walked in here during the show, that I would get up and go get him. You know,
Van Dorp, come on in, ladies and
gentlemen. I dislike him. I don't like him. I don't like him as a person. Other than that, I can't say that I hate anybody.
But you used to clean that guy up routinely, and he was like 6'6". Like,
I used to fight him lefty. I'm not even lefty.
And you used to clean him up, right?
Yeah, I was lucky.
But you really disliked him.
That's all I ever used to say was, hey, if you beat me up, Jay's going to get you.
Yeah. A power play. I got on the computer. Here we go. 1988-87. Listen to these numbers, folks. Jay Miller, 78 games played, 7 goals, 304 penalty minutes.
EIM.
Let's start his teammate, LB. 53 games played, 10 goals, soft hands, 236 penalty minutes, 236. Do you remember, what was that season like, man? That was
a lot of penalty box.
You know what's really funny is that year, Jay led the league in majors, and I think I was like third. And you know what, not even to talk about Jay and I, because I'll say this straight up. And besides the fact that Knuckles butt-ended Rick Middleton in the mouth, and that was like the only cheap shot that I dislike him for, was probably the toughest guy. He could play the game, he could score goals, he showed up every
Yeah,
night.
Chris had to go in the garden. We had to go up there. He had myself, you, Gordy Kuzak to fight. He was alone.
I tell you,
Until they got to the fight. He was all alone.
Knuckles was a
Plus he had
warrior.
to score.
I'll tell you straight up next. One of the best, when you talk about guys that showed up to play the game, get it done, and what a detriment to your team, and I talk about you and guys like Terry O'Reilly, I talk about you hand in hand. You had 20 goals, kid. 20 goals. 20 goals.
You know what that translates into today? As far as dollars and cents? I could even survive with the exchange rate today playing in Montreal. No, I appreciate that, but I always had the utmost respect for coming into the Boston Garden and having to go up against guys like you. It wasn't the most settling feeling coming into Boston Garden, knowing that LB's there, Jay's there, O'Reilly, Kluzak, Wensink, Jonathan, who else? And then I finally got some help one day. John Corder came into the picture and did help me out. He took a little the burden and the load off. I mean, it's a difficult job to do. No matter how many guys are around, when you have to go toe-to-toe with someone, I don't care. People say you don't get hurt in hockey fights, this and that. I tend to not believe it, You don't get hurt in hockey fights.
Welcome back to the attic. We're here with LB, Killer Miller, and Knuckles Nile, and LB. We got some extracurricular going on here. This is the game we're watching, 88 Bruins Flyers, and tell us about it. How did it feel right about now? Whose head hurts more?
Well, actually, I couldn't get going at first, but you'll see, I throw a sneaky left here, and Knox always says that. I don't think I could hurt anybody with the left, but I threw the left, and that got me going, and it was a nice comeback at the end.
Yeah,
we used to have great fights, Kartner and I.
Yeah, well, it's...
There it is, right there.
Oh, no, keep watching. It gets better.
Okay. Does it really?
Oh, yeah, right at the end, I pumped with a couple of good ones.
Now, Jay, you had a pretty good dust up.
I hit him there, huh?
Hobie. We got him a duster. We dusted him a little bit. It goes on. I mean, you got to be in shape to do these things.
I'll tell you, isn't that unbelievable, Knox? I just remember at the end of fights, you were just like, oh, thank God that's over.
And they made us do wind sprints.
You
Imagine
definitely
that.
have to have the endurance to hang in there and go with a guy. I mean, by the end, you were dead. You couldn't wait to... I mean, there were nights I felt terrible on the ice, and, this is actually, I'm gonna confess here, but there were nights I got out on that ice, I felt so bad, I knew I couldn't play, I didn't feel good at all, and I just go out and get in 2-3 fights, and I'd go in and rest. I'd be in the locker room by the first period.
Having a cook. Hey, that's when you go over to Guy Carboner, you're like, hey, bud, I need you to get a couple of goals. I'm out of here in the first. 3 fights, I'm gone, right?
As far as tough guys go, is there an unwritten tough guys code of ethics, of honor, unwritten, written, followed? You go after other tough guys, you don't go after the goal scorers?
What happened? Oh, I knew this was going to come up. Is there an unwritten rule? The way I look at it,
bring it on.
The way I look at it, everybody in this game bleeds, not just the tough guys.
So what happens when somebody gets beat up on the other side, the unwritten rule is you better make sure you get another guy behind you to beat up the other bigger guy. And in fact, the smaller guy, the mid-range guy. You always had to get the upper hand with a mental game, too. Because all those guys on the bench, there was 12 kids on that bench that respected you and wanted to make sure that you'd go out and make sure you didn't lose. That was our biggest fear, I think, in all these guys, is losing was our biggest fear. It wasn't actually the actual fighting. It was losing the fight because that meant your job.
I think that's
everybody's
fear. I ain't getting one punch.
Forget about losing the game. We didn't have to worry about scoring a goal when you go in a slump. We go in a slump and missing and not beating the guy up or not doing your job. That was the scariest part because you knew the bench would go down with you. The bench actually just went downhill with you. They go, oh, God. They got a tougher one than them. So you always try to keep that respect amongst your teammates, especially.
At least be able to hang in and go toe-to-toe. I mean, your fear was you didn't want to lose for your team. You had to show that you won. But if you showed up and you go toe-to-toe with a guy, and it'd be nice you take your lumps. You're not going to win every night. No question, you can't win every fight. But as long as you're in there for the majority of them, and, I happen to think I was. I know Jay happens to think he was, and I know LB happens to think he was.
Well,
and
we wouldn't have had long careers like we did.
Yeah.
Because we would have been gone.
I'll tell you, it's funny, like, we used to play Philly, and Nush will tell you, too. Philly was one of those teams, like, Nush talks about going into Boston, and there's more than one guy. We used to go into Philly, and they always had, like, 4 or 5 guys. And I specifically remember talking to Terry O'Reilly, and I said, because you're afraid. You have fear. You know, there is fear. I'm like, were you afraid? And he's like, yeah, I was afraid. You know, I used to go into Philly. I'd sit in my locker before the game and go, man or mouse, man or mouse. What are you gonna do when the guy looks you in the eye and it comes that time that you gotta either you look at him and drop the mitts and go at it, and you know your teammates. Everybody knows. You know, you can't not pretend that look wasn't there. When you get called on, you got to drop the mitts and go after it, and whatever happens, happens, you know?
Funny, when I go in there, it's nice. I went into Philadelphia, and they put 5 guys on the ice. Cockner, Chikrin, Berube, Knockbauer, and Brown.
Right.
5 guys. Now, what are you going to do? You're going to wait, or are you going to go? And it just so happens you go in there.
Why skate around and get tired, right? Just get after it, right?
Just take your pick, you know, so you don't pick the guy next to you, so at least they don't know who you're going to go after, you know what I mean? You got to surprise them a little bit, too. There's 5 guys on the ice. Easy thing to do is go to the guy lined up next to you. Right. That way, instead, let the puck go down and then go and seek someone out. That's what I would do. And being in Philadelphia and having to face that kind of thing, you are actually giving your team an edge going in that building. It's like, hey, guys, we're here to play. You know, I don't know. Did you see The Patriot, the movie? You ever see, you know, like the old days, yeah, the dumb guy with the flag and the bugle? Yeah. Right. Okay, I was a dumb guy with the flag and the bugle. I'm the one who's going to get shot first. But my teammates are ready to vote afterwards. They're ready to show up and play, and that's the key. And we all had that type of job, and you had to do it, and we all rubbed off well on our teammates. You had a job to do, we did it, and it gave our teammates. I think what we did is lent our personality, our courage to our team and our teammates on certain evenings where they come out and they follow us.
I don't care what anybody says. You can talk to any 50 goal scorer you want. You know, if there's a guy, you know, you can talk to Adam Oates. Adam Oates' game changes the minute Jay, me, Knuckles hit the ice. Right. You know, he automatically gets more room. He automatically gets to stand in the slot and not get cross-checked in the back of the head. Right. You know, nobody touches him because they got to own up. You know, they got to show up, and they know that we're gonna. They know for a fact we're gonna do it.
Right. So, and that's why you guys become so valuable in the league, because when there is a guy with that reputation, and I'm talking specifically about when Jay went to L.A., when Gretzky came to L.A. and they said, hey, we want that presence on the ice, right? I mean, that's part of the reason you went up.
Right. Traded for me from Boston.
Right.
To go out there and make sure he was taken care of.
I was sad.
It's a great feeling.
I was sad. I lost my roommate. 5 years. No one to hang with. You were a sniper out there, kid. Just
I
admit
played on his line for the first 6 months.
Really?
The first 40 games I played on his left wing. It was great. I would have scored 40 goals, but I kept. You got to keep your stick on the ice. It comes to you, but you got to keep it on the ice.
I'll tell you. Here's one of the best stories of all time. We're playing Quebec.
Right.
We're winning like 7-1 after the first period. Our line, me, Billy O'Dwyer, and Jay. Jay's got 2 goals and assists. I got a goal and 2 assists, and Billy's got 3 assists, right? We get to the locker room in between periods. Jay goes to everybody. Jay goes, hey, feed me. I'm hot. We're like, yeah. That's right. You're on fire, kid, right?
Jay Goulet.
Jay Goulet, right there. Jay Goulet.
How'd you make out that night?
I didn't get the hat trick.
No.
10:21 left. Welcome back to Fanatic. It's Tough Guy Week, and we couldn't think of anyone tougher than Jimmy Dunn. No, sorry. Lyndon Byers, Jay Miller, Chris Nyland. And we've been talking a lot of good hockey, a lot of good tough talk. Let's talk a little bit about no more old times. Let's talk about current times. LB, we hear you on the radio every morning at WAAF.
I do morning drive, the easiest job on the planet. Talk for 4 hours.
You got to go to bed early, or maybe you don't.
No, I do. My life has changed a lot, yes. I'm responsible. I have a wife and a daughter that's 13 months old. I get to bed about 9 o'clock each and every night, Monday through Friday.
Jay, do you ever listen to him on the radio?
Yes, once in a while I do, because what I do is I get phone calls from my buddies up in Natick Framingham that listen. We barely get it down here. But I get calls, oh, they're talking about you again today, or oh, they're giving you. But I never hear, it's always been good. That's what's good about it. All is positive, all is good. But he does a wonderful job, I understand, up there. Everybody tells me.
Yes, that's what I hear. You know, I don't listen to him that much, but I'm sorry. No, now, do you come to Jay's restaurant a lot? We're here at the Courtyard in Bourne, Jay Miller's restaurant. Now, he listens to you on the radio. Do you come down here?
I do. I get down here as much as I can. I mean, with my wife and my daughter, it's nice to come down. Jay's got a beautiful wife, family. Paula's like one of, you know,
one of the guys.
We've always digged her because she's the best. But you know, I like Jay. Jay was my roommate, and
oh, really?
so it's nice that I mean, and I mean, Nux will tell you too. It's just nice. There's so many guys that are still around, and you know, if you want to play golf,
down here.
you want to fish, you
want
to
do down here.
Want to have a couple of wobbly.
This is a great meeting place for them too, because they're going to meet. The Patriots all hang out in here a lot off season.
Name
so does. Well, they do, yeah. They do. But Knox comes, all the Bruins comes down. Because there's a golf, we got, 30 golf courses around here. So that's not because of my place, but there's golf courses. And it's the beach and tourist time, so that's that's our off-season.
Jay's in the mix down here. A lot of guys come in the courtyard. It's a great place to come. The food's great. I know nothing about the cocktails. I've only seen them going by. They look pretty good on the trays going by, but
they have the nicest umbrellas.
The food's good, the fried clams, the prime rib, everything's great.
All right, enough of the commercial. Let's get about time.
Do we have a toll-free number?
Yeah,
toll-free number.
What's the website, www.jbirdgoulet.com.miller.com. So, Knuckles, what does a guy like Knuckles do these days? Is he on the golf course a lot? Have you been coaching a lot over the years?
Well, I coached in Jersey as an assistant, and I was down in Baltimore for a couple of years, and they sold the team, ended up in some financial trouble, and they moved down to Jackson, Mississippi, and I didn't want to go to Mississippi.
Not a good
so I'm back home now, and I'm in the midst of changing jobs. I don't know. I'm looking into the college game right now. As far as coaching, I like to do that. It could keep me around here. My children are here, and I want to be around them. My family. I've been traveling enough. It's time I stay put. And I fish with my buddy Jay quite a bit. We fish in the Oak Bluffs Monster.
That just amazes me.
The Oak Bluffs Monster Shark Tournament every year. This year I missed it because I happened to be out of town during the tournament, but it was the first year I missed it. And
don't forget, we did the same jobs. I mean, think about it. We all do the same jobs. We have a lot in line. Especially we're both from Boston. LB's a Canucky. He's way up north. He's an Eskimo, eh?
Yeah.
We fight fish. Not most of the time we don't win, believe it or not.
We're going to go back to the game. Quick question: Survivor Island. Which one of you guys would survive?
All of us.
You mean Jay with that whole crew? Me with that whole crew, or the three of us?
Three guys. Oh, you'd eat up that. You'd eat that up.
I don't know. I think I'd survive because I tell you, I've stayed in pretty good shape. And these two guys, they are a little chunky. I just keep running until they die. They'd have a heart attack, the two of them. They couldn't catch me.
All right,
I'd survive.
Let's head back to the game. Bruins Flyers is getting pretty interesting.